Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of lies spinning from their mouths. Start looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. But no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Thursday, February the 1st, 2024. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Aaron Armageddon of the Armageddon Hour podcast. If you would be so kind as to follow Aaron in the description section of the video, you can get to his Twitter channel there and his YouTube channel there. You can also follow us on Twitter and Rumble, so you can be sure and catch us wherever we are, just in case we're not able to reach you from YouTube for whatever reason. So that's where most of you are joining us, so we'd love to have you pop over to the other platforms and follow us there. Create an account. It's free. You know, it's a pretty easy to use app. I know nobody wants more apps, but if you're using desktop, you don't have to get another app. How's it going tonight, Aaron?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. Having my coffee.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems like it's a pretty bad combination. I just realized I had my yogurt and fish oil pills and then coffee. But
Oh yeah, that's a spicy
and
mix
I have
there.
probably a little whiskey too, but I think I can make it work. I have an iron stomach, so.
Well, if you had the cold, you definitely probably don't now.
Well, that's true. That's how I keep it away. That's how I keep it at bay. Yep, shave the beard every now and then, and it keeps the colds away. So,
Yeah, that's true.
man, we got some interesting news out of Tennessee tonight in a few different places. We'll get into that. We won't keep y'all too long. We had to have you with us through the whole song there on the intro while we got all our stuff together, but it's all good. We're here. We're loud and clear as far as I can tell from what I'm getting from my equipment. So thank you for joining us. If you would be so kind as to like the video and share it, it also helps us out a lot if you can get us around to other folks in the area, especially in the Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. But we're glad to have you worldwide or nationwide or wherever you're from. So I got some interesting stories tonight. There's a couple things from the Tennessee Conservative that I wanted to look at, because last week we talked about the border. It was Anna chimed in and said that was really the only thing that she cared about right now, and we did have some good chats going on from that. But a lot of the way. Go ahead.
The level of human trafficking that's going on down there is just disgusting. You know, there's no gatekeeper. Literally, the gate's just wide open. You know, and when they do that, they create a market which creates a vacuum. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people and children are in danger for a lot of different reasons because of it. You know, it's created, like I said, it's created a market. You know,
yeah.
So.
Hey, Spill, rain and flooding in Central California. Well, let's hope for the best there. We got lucky. We dodged the flooding bullet really this time, because we had, you know, up to a foot of snow, and then we went from 20. I think we went from like 0 degrees to 20 degrees, and then the next day it was 45, and then the next day it was like 60 and sunny, and then the next day it was 60 and rainy. I don't know how we didn't have a lot of really bad floods around here just with that combination of weather.
Oh, we did up here in Gatlinburg. It flooded bad, you know. It was going up over the bridge, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But they built those things like solid because they withstood the storm, you know, for sure. Several, you know, I'm sure many. But the problem with living at the bottom of a mountain is when all the snow melts, it comes down off the mountain, you know, and you deal with rock slides and flooding, and then power lines get down in the water. Then you get dangerous situations, you know. It's just... yeah, you got to keep your head on a swivel.
That's right. Yes, but anywhere, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are.
That's true.
You know, nature is going to do what nature's going to do. And
Hawaii's on an island by itself out in the middle of nowhere, and it's still burnt down. You know, it's like...
And there's volcanoes happening out there right now, or earthquakes happening right there on volcano Kilauea, I believe. B said, everybody be sure and tune into the live stream of it, and everybody shake your phone to try to make the volcano erupt, but then also tilt your phone to the side so the lava goes out to the ocean and doesn't harm anybody.
Shift it that way.
Yeah.
Shift it that way. And
Tennessee Conservative is going to be our source for a couple of these different things here. Tennessee Conservative News. We're going to look at a few things that they have shared, and the independent Tennessee journalism is really, really getting bigger. We've got, you know, there's liberal groups, there's conservative groups, there's a lot more independent conservative groups, because our large papers in Tennessee and large news publications tend to be, even though they obviously know that their audience is largely conservative, so they try to make it look like they play it right down the middle, but they tend to be very progressive in their framing of issues and their choice of language and things like this. So there are some, like the Tennessee Holler comes to mind. I pretty much disagree with everything those guys stand for, except for, you know, maybe we might get together on 10% of things, but I still find them a useful source, and because they're independent journalists, you know, they're independent activists. What do you call it? Not journalists, but
free thinkers, you know, they're just doing their own thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they're free thinkers, but at least they're not just parroting whatever the TV tells them. So, you know, it's a step in the right direction towards free thinker anyway.
I wouldn't go. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not.
It's kind of like calling a flat earther a free thinker. It's like calling a Democrat a free thinker. You know, yeah, they might be.
Like, technically, you're right.
Yeah.
By a technicality, you're correct, sir.
Which in this world is the best kind of correct, because that's the kind that really matters if you got to force it. And some of these legal cases we see are just crazy. But Tennessee Conservative News, one of the things that they've shared tonight is we in with the setting, we were talking about the border last week. The I'm seeing different reports coming out of Texas. I'm seeing some from guys like Taylor Hansen, who's saying that an area he went to that had thousands of border crossings a day, or that they apprehended, thousands and processed them, is down to like 4 to 6 per day, like 4 to 6 crossings per day, apprehensions per day, since they put up the razor wire and all the standoff. But I've heard other people say that they've really just moved it right down to somewhere other than Eagle Pass, so everything's really still going on. But we're still getting flooded with illegal immigrants coming across the border.
God knows who. That's who we're getting flooded with. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, we've already seen videos of multiple people who were at least they were in custody for terrorism in other countries that have come across the border, and it's led to some theories that that there could be sleeper cells from other countries within the U.S. and that.
Well, it's not even a question of if, it's just they've been here, and they're always going to be here because when we find them, they weed them out, and the way China operates, man, is just like predatorial almost. I mean, it's terrifying, honestly. I mean, just how and just meticulously.
It's insidious, but
they're
insidious.
The long game, they aren't playing games. What do they call it? The 100-year, 1,000-year, 100-year, like the Nazis did. It's like 100-year reign or something. I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, whatever it is, they do play the long game.
These books I've read. I just can't remember. It slipped my mind.
Well, so there's that going on with the border, and then you have Biden, promising that he's going to, react in some way to the strike, the drone strike that killed the servicemen in was it Syria or Jordan? I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. But
I think Jordan.
That's what I was thinking. It was Jordan, and then I heard people talking about Syria and Iranian bases in Syria. So they were saying that Biden said they may strike places in Iraq, Iran, and Syria. That's if I understand. So I'm guessing that the servicemen were stationed. The three men and women who died, and there were 34, I think, who were injured in it. They should have never been over there. But now they're going to be used as justification for why we should go into a larger war. Iran has already promised that they will strike back, even if no one is killed in the retaliation strike. So, nobody's going to be happy with what you do here. But one thing's for sure, you don't want to have a doddering old man who, can't find his way off of a stage and shakes hands with the air and.
Just a weird, horny old maniac.
Child hair sniffer,
He wants to sniff the essence of children. It's literally like like Hansel and Gretel. He's like the witch in the forest. Like, I guess since she's probably definitely leans to a certain side, he's probably just there when she needs him, and then she kicks him out the door.
Probably so.
Yep.
Well, let's look at this story here in the light of that, because we've got, the border has become an issue, especially over the last. I mean, it's been an issue for the last 10 years. I can remember in the 2008 presidential cycle, even the 2004 in the Kerry Bush election cycle, they were talking about building a wall, and in 2008 it was very mainstream. Even a lot of Democrats were talking about building a wall. And as a matter of fact, President Barack Obama did build a lot of the wall that is built on the southern border. So it's not like it's a crazy idea to build a wall there, right? But we've had
for votes.
Yeah, oh yeah. We've had big face-offs down on the border. We've had people who've had illegal immigrants who were on their property, and they went out to investigate, and they ended up being attacked and shooting some of them, and then getting arrested for defending their own property. They've all.
That's what's the ultimate troll, though. What Greg Abbott did is sending them to blue cities is like the ultimate, like, that's why they're freaking out. They're like, no, it's already blue here. We don't need them here.
Yeah. I get the ideas. I've heard some people say, well, he's just aiding and abetting them by bringing them further into the country. But at the same time, I understand that, but they literally do not have the infrastructure to hold that many people in Texas. They estimate how many millions over Biden's 6 million? Was that what it was during Biden's term, or was it 10
Some
million?
kind of outrageous number like that, and that's just that is a liberal number. You
And
know,
and
it's
that's
killing
only the
us.
ones that they caught or processed. That's not
Yeah,
the ones that made it across and nobody saw.
you can double that number.
Yeah, so
But
I mean,
the thing that makes me the maddest about it is, they're not testing these people for COVID or all this stuff, and you see what I'm saying? But they want to. If me or you went to the airport, we're getting our balls are going to get played with, and they're
mhm.
going to search our stuff. It's going to be a big annoying ordeal, you know, but not for just ghost people.
Yep.
That's the thing. If you don't have paperwork or you're just here and there's no way to trace these people, they can just kill, be serial killers, do whatever they want. You're not gonna be able to find them. There's no way to trace them. There's not an address for them. There's not a number. There's not any taxes getting filed. There's no way to track and trace these people. And they're not stupid. The cell phone the government gives them, I'm sure they've figured out that it's tracking them. But
I'm looking at the official numbers from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They say there have been 5.4 million illegal boarding crossings, plus at least 1.5 million gotaways. So they're saying 7 million, and that's the ones that they know of. So let's just take half of that, and let's dump 3.5 million people into Texas, even though Texas is probably the most. I mean, you got Arizona, of course, and New Mexico there, where you also have some border crossings, but the largest part of it there is in Texas, and California, of course, too. But the population of Texas is 29.5 million people as of the 2020 census. Now, a lot of people have moved there since COVID, so they've probably gone up quite a bit from that. But the amount of growth that they're getting from people moving there is it's going to actually match the people who move there, right? So the people are coming in, they're buying services, they're having homes built, they're having the infrastructure built as they come, or they're coming to the already built infrastructure. Now
or they're kicking vets out of their, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's when they bring in, when you have a population of 29 million, right? Now, I know Texas is a huge state, but these people are going to the centers, the population centers. They are not, or at least cities and towns. They're not going and homesteading somewhere out in the middle of in the middle of the state where nobody owns the land or anything like that. So the infrastructure is going to support them, and they don't have money to, or if they do have money, they have finite resources. So eventually they're going to need these resources that the rest of the population uses, and that population is either going to have to say, you can't use our resources, or they're going to have to pay for the people to use the resources. So they're going to
we're the ones paying for it. People.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're either going to have to say no, or you're going to have to pay for it, because they don't have a way to pay for it. So that seems like the obvious answer is, to say no, because we don't really have a way to pay for it either. But with all this in mind, we've had the showdown which never happened, between the Border Patrol and the Texas National Guard. The Border Patrol said they support the National Guard, and they did win the Supreme Court decision to where they could take the barbed wire down that the Texas National Guard was placing, but they chose not to, saying ultimately it would be ineffective, and that they stand with the National Guard, and the Texas National Guard has a job to do, and they're not going to get in the way of them doing their job. So good on the Border Patrol agents that did that. But not all of them are doing that. We've got these from Tennessee Conservative News. 600 to be brought. This is from Homeland Security. Intended destination. Let me pull this up for y'all to see. Hopefully this is working right. No, it's not. You can't see it. So let me fix this. There we go. So, intended destinations of non-citizens processed at the southwest border. And it goes on to say that lay out the framework for this, and how they're going to have, what requirements they are, where, what agencies they're going to check in with and stuff like this. And this is for the week ending in September 16th, 2023, 73 non-citizens provided an intended destination in your core-based statistical area. The top three nationalities, rounded to the nearest hundreds, are 200 Guatemalans, 200 Venezuelans, 100 Honduras, and Mexico. Same number of non-citizens who provided an intended destination. That destination is Nashville, Davidson, Murfreesboro, and Franklin, Tennessee. And so this is, this is from this fall, but this is proof that the Homeland Security is flying them into all over Tennessee. And the Tennessee Conservative News one that posted this, and good on them for drawing attention to it. This is they got it from Intentionally Blank. It's at Omit Intention here on Twitter if you want to check that out real quick. Whoops. Well, there we go. At Omit Intention if you want to follow them. They're the one that shared that up there. And again, that's from September. So, and this is just one document. So, there's been rumors that's been going on for a long time, but there's a confirmation right there, and we've seen it happening all over the country. So we know it has been happening. But
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. This was 2016. This was before the border was left wide open. Honestly, you couldn't get me anywhere near border town right now with this. It's got to be chaos. I mean, I know it is. It was crazy when I was there. There's just people and they show up and you'll see them in certain parts of the town, under the bridges and stuff. But they won't even have shoes, some of these people. And you'll see them like my ex-fiance, she's a federal agent. She still lives there. I'm not going to say where, but it's right there on the border of California and Mexico. And it's a dangerous place. It's not somewhere to mess around, But especially right now with the stuff going on. But yeah, and they'll walk when you're in line to come back into the U.S. There's like many lanes. There's like I can't remember how many lanes. A lot, like at least 10 lanes, no less than 10 lanes, and they all bottleneck into the border right there. But they'll go around and they'll sell statues of like Mary and just different things, and trinkets as you're leaving, and they walk with them on their back, And you have to be careful. It's tempting, because it's cheap and it's pretty cool, or sombreros or whatever. But you have to be careful with the statues because they literally will take them and fill them with drugs, and then you will pay them to be a drug mule for them without even knowing it. You know what I mean? Like, and then the bad thing is when you get on the other side, guess what? Homeboys are waiting for you to come through and take it off. You know what I'm saying? To take it back. You just be lucky if they don't just kill you. But yeah, it is crazy. And the right there near the border, on the American side, it gets crazy. It's like a twilight zone. But as soon as you cross into Mexico, it is a different world. People don't obey the traffic laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stop signs are more of a suggestion. Okay,
right.
You can forget that. We were there as soon as we drove through there. You could see stains on the highway and stuff, and someone they had hung two headless bodies up from the freeway by their feet. And it is not a place to mess around. And it's crazy because it'll be like a family-owned business. It's like dirt floors, like chickens running around, and then right beside of it, it'll be like a marble floor Starbucks. That's worth like just crazy money. But it's just a scary place. And the scary thing for me, like I said, is just like with the terrorists, or God knows what they're bringing through now. And I went through and it was safe. You couldn't give me $1 million to go down there now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just constant turf wars and constant, and you never know what's going to happen. Something could destabilize it at any given time. But anyways, my ex-fiance, I was telling you, she was telling me she'll see. So they come in packs, and there's a lot of Chinese people there, believe it or not. Right there on the other side of the American border, and there's like a whole side of town. It's kind of like in Chicago and Los Angeles, which I've been to these areas too. But they'll have like Chinatown, and everything is that culture there. That's where that's that side of town.
Yeah.
But and she was just she was talking to me too. This was years ago. We were talking to her about it. Like how do you get hordes of people from another continent here? It's like they're clearly, they would come in clusters. And it's because it's the replacement migration and stuff. They ship them in waves and for different reasons. And
well, I think one of the reasons is a lot of people say, well, they can't vote. Well, that's kind of been up for debate. But one of the things is even if they don't vote, you bring in 70,000 people. That's another congressional representative who's going to vote with. So if California, say, gets 70,000 more people, they get a whole nother congressional representative to represent them, and that person is presumably going to vote with the rest of California, which gives California more voting power in the federal legislature. But here's a post or a meme from Tennessee Conservative News. me waiting for Tennessee Republicans to do something about immigration at the state level. And that's their whole purpose of the post, is to call it out. And then I've got this other post from Tennessee Conservative News called "A Duty to Resist." I want to see what you think about this. Tennessee State Sovereignty Act of 2024 filed to protect constitutional rights. And this is from Adelia Kirchner over at the Tennessee Conservative News. A bill has been filed to enact the Tennessee State Sovereignty Act of 2024, which effectively set up a legislative committee to protect against federal infringements on Tennessee's constitutional rights as a state. Well, that all sounds good, but do we really know what that's actually going to do? We had a state Restoring State Sovereignty Through Nullification Act brought by Janice Bowling, and it was opposed by Bill Lee, and it was killed in the state legislature, so that never really went anywhere. But it's kind of a different time now, and with a lot of some of the things we passed, like they passed a bill in Tennessee that they're not going to uphold any federal, like NFA rules on things like suppressors or short-barreled rifles or anything like that. They're going to leave that to the feds. You can't be charged under Tennessee state law for it. Now, I assume if you were breaking the law already, they're going to hand you over to the feds for it, because they're going to try to put you away. But, if you're an otherwise law-abiding citizen, you really don't have to worry about it. But this says it would create a state sovereignty committee. So they're basically talking about creating a committee. So, yeah, that's going to help a lot. Authorized to receive input, advice, and assistance from interested and affected parties and persons who are not members of the state legislature. So basically, it'd basically be a place for more Republicans to get together and probably whine about being mistreated and never actually do anything about it, and then invite the public in to tell them about how they're being mistreated and never actually do anything about it, be my guess.
Excellently put.
Yeah. It's like the,
it's like, I'm on fire. It's like, well, you know what? Go put some water on yourself.
Yeah. But they never do it. They set up a committee, like, we're going to set up a committee to talk about different ways that we might be able to get water too.
Or just decent people, most of them are conservative, they don't want to make it, they're trying, they don't want to, I don't know, it's
they don't want to use the power that they have because they're against the idea of using the power. Meanwhile, the other side is using their inability or their unwillingness to use the power against them.
Yeah, just grossly abusing it. Yeah, two opposite ends of the spectrum, which is not good, because that just leads to straight up just domination.
Meanwhile, you have citizens in Tennessee from Mount Julian who are sitting in front of the door of an abortion clinic, were just found guilty or going to be sentenced to who knows what. It's up to the judge. They could be to go to prison for 6, or even some of them could go to prison for even more, because they used Facebook to set up where they go sit in front of the abortion clinic. Meanwhile, you got
they went to prison for protesting an abortion?
Yep. There's the FACE Act in Tennessee it's a federal act that it prevents blocking the entrance to an abortion clinic. And these people were sitting on the sidewalk singing and praying for people. I don't think they physically stopped anybody, but they were, according to the jury or the judge, they were in violation of the FACE Act, but one lady could even face even more than that because she was using Facebook, and they're saying, that makes it a federal interstate crime, using, the internet in an instance of something or another, to where, basically it's just a way they can attack more onto her or have more to use against her. But the State Sovereignty Act, you would think would do something about that. You'd think that our Attorney General, Slattery, or no, it's not Slattery now. I forget the Attorney General's name now. But you'd think he would be wanting to do something about, intervening in some way, suing the federal government or something other than, maybe a strongly worded letter. Seems to be all we can get really Republicans to do these days. And this would be this whole bill is just like to do a committee to decide if a act violates the life, liberty, or property of a Tennessean. And it says the committee will issue a resolution of noncompliance or a declaration of resistance to the act, law, order, or regulation in question. So basically, it's like this committee is going to say, here's a way we could, defy that or non-comply with the states, but with the feds to do that. But I'm sure if the feds say, well, Tennessee, you don't get your highway money, they're going to say, yes, I'm sorry. We won't do any. You just keep stepping on us. But the next story, because a lot of people, I just want to show how big this is getting. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's the owner of X. He is one of the most influential people in the world, and he's really seen a lot of this stuff. He's sharing this post from End Wokeness, and I'll show you the post. It says, "This is Jose Manuvar. 150 Democrats voted against a bill to automatically deport him. He's an illegal alien with 4 deportations and 3 DUI convictions. Last month, during his 3rd DUI, he killed Melissa Powell and her teenage son Riordan in Colorado. He got off without jail 4 days before that crash." And so, while we're seeing Tennesseans being put into jail for protesting abortion clinics, we're seeing the guy in New York, Daniel Penny, who saved the guy from, or saved the trainload of people from the crazy guy who was threatening to kill everybody. These guys are going to jail. Meanwhile, an illegal alien who goes in, who saw a gang of them attack the police up there in New York City. They got out with no bail, flipped off the cameras, and walked away. And so, just so you know, guys, this is a sign we've been conquered already. Not necessarily I'm not saying by the illegal immigrants. I'm saying
if me or you or anybody watching this did that, bro, it would be.
Yeah, I'm saying we've been conquered already, guys. It's not been by the illegal aliens, though. It's the people in the city centers, the people in Washington, D.C. They've already conquered us from inside. We're just catching up with that. It's just like they're breaking the news to us now by showing us, okay, all you Americans who are doing the right thing and you're, protecting yourselves, you're going to go to jail for it. If you're standing with what you believe in, you're going to go to jail for it. If you're at the Capitol on January 6th, you're going to go to jail for it. But if you're a BLM protester burning down cities, there's nothing we can do about that because that's your right as an American citizen. Or if you're an illegal immigrant doing whatever you want, whether it's beating up people, having drunk driving crashes, killing people, we're not going to do anything about that. So that shows you right there, the nation's been conquered already.
It's like, God, man, they're literally trafficking babies. It's just it's disgusting. And they'll use the same kid. They'll make that kid make the trip, like just using it. You see what I'm saying? Like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
And they don't even have. You remember, Trump was doing they were doing the DNA testing to make sure that people were actually related to the people that they were saying were their children, and they found that about 30% of them were not. But the Biden administration stopped testing them, so they're letting, presumably 30% of the people are still bringing children who are not theirs, and they're letting them all right through.
That was the only that was the only gatekeeper for the children. Was that And when they removed that, it's like when Alex Jones went down there, dude. He was throwing a fit, man. He saw like little white kids with brown people and brown people with white kids. You see what I'm saying? Like, and they were just really not their kids. This one kid had blonde hair and blue eyes. It's like, it's clearly not these people's kid, and vice versa. Or just it'll be like some creepy guy, like just some pedo looking dude that hangs out at the park or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, with like 8 kids. It's like, clearly something's not right here.
So border towns border towns have received the largest much of the influx of the illegal immigrants, which is basically overriding the infrastructure. But it's also been a lot of farm towns and agricultural towns have been way more people than they can handle also. And so we saw people like DeSantis and Greg Abbott, they were shipping or busing the illegal immigrants over to population centers like Martha's Vineyard. That was a pretty funny one that DeSantis did. Yeah, but Greg Abbott's been sending them to Chicago, New York, and a lot of people are saying, well, you're just putting them further into the country. But they're actually the people who are making these bad decisions are not reaping the consequences of their actions. So basically, they're just trying to share the consequences with the people who are making the decisions that cause them. Now, here's a good meme from Humble Flow. What cities were made for? Behind these walls, we can defend ourselves from anything. I can set up shop safely. I got robbed again. I can't stay here anymore. There's nothing we can do about it. Back to work. Pay your taxes. You're parked illegally.
Yeah. No kidding.
Let's see. We got, we're looking at, to close us out tonight, I want to look at how and actually before we get to that, I had one more thing I wanted to show you. The largest cities in Tennessee by population. Did you know how big would you guess? I mean, this is in the population data from 2022 American Community Survey, and of course Nashville's actually the biggest now. Memphis has gone down in population. The or rather, they've stayed steady. I guess they've gone down in the ranking. Nashville's gone up to 709,000. Knoxville's up to 191,000. Some people say as many as really 250,000. But look at after Chattanooga, Clarksville and Murfreesboro. Did you have any idea Clarksville and Murfreesboro were that big? When I last went to Murfreesboro in the 90s, Murfreesboro was like the size of Johnson City. Now it's 153,000 people. What happened in Murfreesboro for the population to boom so much? Same thing with Clarksville. Clarksville was like 100,000 people, and now it's 167,000. It's crazy.
Well, Murfreesboro is one of the last railroad hubs.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that worked for CSX, and when they closed the Irwin place down, he had to move out to Murfreesboro. But stuff like that. But when I lived in Nashville in 2006, and I drove a truck there. And Murfreesboro was rough even when I lived there, over a decade ago. It was.
But was it not like the size of Johnson City then?
Yeah, it wasn't that big, But it's kind of crazy because you drive under there's an airport, and the planes are landing on top of you when you're driving under the tunnel. It's crazy. But I had a hooker jump in my truck, man, because I was young and stupid. I just left the door unlocked. I remember it was crazy. It was just a barefoot just trying to jump in my truck. I sped off and kind of I felt bad, It was like took a little spill there, but
yeah.
I didn't know who she was or what she was trying to do. And then I realized I was like, oh man. But I was like, well,
let's look at this.
Lock your doors, Murfreesboro.
Here's a graph of Murfreesboro population from 2011 to 2022. Look at that. It has gone up from 111,000, just below 112,000, to 162,000. So they've grown 50,000 in 10 years.
That's almost the population of Johnson City, man.
Johnson City's population has really boomed, and it grew 20,000 in the last 20 years. Johnson City is officially at 70,000 as of the 2020 census, but we've had a lot of people move to Johnson City since then. They're building thousands and thousands of new houses, and they're estimating 75. I'm going to say it's probably even more than that. I'm going to say it's probably getting closer to 80. But
Johnson City's infrastructure was already barely supporting the people that were there. Yep. Go downstate of Franklin at 5 in the afternoon on a Friday. Yeah, gridlocked.
Yeah, Johnson City really wants to be a lot bigger city than they're feels like they're capable of being, but they do have a, the city's really, they have a duty to the folks who have lived there and set up business there to make it an economic hub for them. So that's what they're trying to do. But
there's plenty of room to expand. You've got all these little sub communities. Like
yep.
Jonesboro and up towards Greenville and. There's just a lot of.
I just see this Tri-Cities filling in over the next several years between Bristol and Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia, Bristol or Kingsport, Johnson City. They're all growing towards one another, annexing land. In the middle. Eventually, it's going to be one Tri-City. I don't know how long it'll take, but that's eventually what'll happen.
Have they even started construction on that casino yet?
Yeah. We're working. It's got a lot done on it.
Okay.
Let's look here. This is look at some American cities from a century ago. This is pretty cool. This is from the Cultural Critic. This is Buffalo, New York. It's colorized, but this is a real photograph. This black and white photograph that's had color added to it by Santa Dulaway is her name. So that's Buffalo in 1908. Look at the Buffalo in the Pan American Expedition in 1901. Is that wild or what?
Wow. Yeah, that's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like a 9-story building.
Yeah. Saratoga Springs in New York back in 1915. And then you can find pictures of Johnson City and Elizabethton and Bristol that look just like this downtown. Look at this beautiful theater here, Keith's New Theater. You don't see people building things like this anymore, do you?
Nope.
Just beautiful. Look at New York City in 1916.
And now it's a dumpster full of poo-poo.
Look at Times Square before the billboards in '05. Looks a lot like Johnson City in 1905, right? Johnson City in 1905. Johnson City in 1920 got up to 25,000 people. It was a big city for its time. And then it just with Prohibition, it just kind of, or at the end of Prohibition, everything just slowed down for it, and it didn't really recover until the late '90s. Let's look at Kansas City, Missouri, in 1906 versus 2015. Yeah, pretty cold and lifeless compared to how it was a, a bustling hub of the city right there, and now it's, dead intersections. Look at Long Beach. Look at the LBC with your Fontella cigars for 5 cents to satisfy the smoker, and you could grab you an orange cider for 5 cents too.
I don't know if I trust anything that cheap.
Well, 100 years ago, and you got, look here,
strychnine and sawdust.
Majestic Dances. It's pretty wild that we have such good quality photographs from back then. I mean, I know they added color and everything, but you can make out a lot of these signs. There's the bowling and billiards. The St. Louis Cafe. Look at the pillars on these buildings. Isn't that nice?
We just look at it.
Look at Cincinnati. 1890 versus today. Look at Detroit in 1901.
Wow, it's like going in reverse.
Yeah.
It went in reverse. It ain't going nowhere,
For real. Check out Detroit here. What happened to us, man?
Greed.
The Belle Island Ferry Dock. Look at that. Beautiful. Utilitarian, but beautiful. Look at these nice arches and these nice rails. And
Yep.
you got, horses drawing carts down there. Look at the World's Fair in 1904 in St. Louis, Missouri.
There's even a conspiracy that the buildings, they actually they construct the buildings to be ugly intentionally.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the communist way of breaking the public's will in Russia. Was brutal, ugly, grotesque architecture. And look at this. They say these buildings are just built out of like wood and plaster, and they're temporary structures. And
They've been there for 400 years.
No, these are torn down. And that was why there's some conspiracy theories about that. But look at this; these buildings are all gone, and supposedly. And now that I look at these stained glass windows, that does look like plywood that they painted, more than stained glass. When you can look right here, right?
Like this building was temporary. It's been there for like 400 years. It's like.
Yeah. No, this one's gone. The ones they're talking about, they tore them down. But that's why a lot of the conspiracy theorists say, "Oh, hey, they're hiding." Oh, I wasn't even showing you that. I'm sorry. But if you look at these windows right down here, to me, this looks like they're made of, painted wood or something rather than actual stained glass. And I can kind of see this being a brand new construction for the World's Fair. If you look close at it, there's some nice intricate carving work and stuff, but a lot of the construction is.
It's like some North Korea stuff, North Korea does that too.
Yeah. But they did really build some beautiful sets for the World Fair. Here's another one. Here's the South Lagoon at the World's Fair. That's in 1904. Look at that. And see, they built these huge structures, and they said and the conspiracy is that these things were already here, and that they destroyed them so we wouldn't know about some huge mud flood or something that happened and covered everything up.
Mud flood, yeah.
But if you look at this is a huge. They made acres and acres of these things, and they were, supposedly, paper mache, plaster, wood, put up really quickly, and then torn down. But if they were put up really quickly, they would have had to been low quality and according to the history books, they were put up in the space of like a year or two. And then the Chicago World Fair is probably the most famous one. Some scenes from that. And this is from the Columbian Science Expedition here, the 1893 Columbian Expedition, the Museum of Science and Industry. And this one actually was saved and restored from by Julius Rosenwald of Sears Roebuck and Company. So they didn't tear this one down, right? This one stood the test of time. That's pretty interesting, huh? But yeah,
I miss the grand architecture. You know, I miss like the grandioso kind of. I don't know why they have to make everything look stupid.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it's like I said, I think it really is part of a to demoralize America. If you watch Yuri Bezmenov's video from the 80s,
Because they could definitely build some like dope architecture. You know,
oh
I
yeah,
mean, there's some like nasty architects out there. And in other countries like Dubai and Saudi Arabia, look at the technology they have and look at the buildings they build there. You know, they'll have like 100 floor skyscrapers, you know, just out in the middle of a desert they've created with a sand barge. You know, it's just, it's wild.
well, it's we've definitely fallen a long way, but you know, it's like it's one of these fourth turning things, I think, and we're coming to the part where the weak men have made the hard times, and you know, we've all been comfortable, and when we get comfortable, you get weak, and that's just the fact. It doesn't. I mean, it's human nature. When you don't have to do things that make you tough, you stop doing the things that make you tough. On a large scale, not everybody. Obviously, there's still a core of American men and women who still, you know, work
Have our
hard,
morals
work
and
hard, and
values.
do things, and don't just lay around and you know, expect things to fall into their lap. There's
Bitch
a lot
and
of people
whine.
still like that, but you know, the world has been created for the people who don't want to do that, to make sure that, you know, all these people don't fall through the cracks. Instead of pushing them harder to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks, we've basically lowered standards on everything, and now we have a nation of nincompoops and a nation of nincompoops writing laws to make the nation safe for other nincompoops, and it basically just stops everybody from getting their act together.
You know, I mean, it's just disgusting, man. I mean, they're literally having like butt sex in the Senate. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
what I mean,
and nothing happened to that guy. He's not going to be charged with anything.
but if you look, you know, look historically, you can look throughout history and any society and culture, once it gets to that level of degradation, it usually doesn't pan out very well for
Yeah.
them.
Yep. And the average age of an empire is like, or you know, a nation is like 250 years. So we're pushing on that closely, and you know, hopefully we rebuild from within rather than being reconquered and rebuild. But one thing or the other is going to happen. We're either going to protect our nation and keep it. You know, if we're going to have to go back to the roots of it, or we're going to be conquered. I mean, like I said, I think we've already been conquered from within. Just the fact that the laws are being used against us as citizens while not being used against literal foreign invaders,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Cuts, you know.
that just shows you that we've been conquered already. It's just not. It didn't come from where we thought it was going to come from. I actually did. It came from a lot of it came from the communists in the 50s and 60s that everybody was all over McCarthy for going after, which really it was the House Un-American Activities Committee that went really, really far. McCarthy probably didn't go far enough because he was right. The film industry, the universities, the State Department were full of communists. The Soviet Union fell, and they you know, a lot of
Oppenheimer.
that stuff came out. But here's the thing: even though the Soviet Union failed, a lot of those ideologues were still in the universities. They were still in politics. They were still in business. They were still in, you know, in the inner workings of the places like the State Department of Hollywood. So they continued to push a lot of the if not communist, socialist, no, not socialist, but like collectivist or less individualistic philosophies. And
If they suspected you of being a communist back in those days, man, the whole community would turn on you. You know how many people would spy on
but the thing was, they really didn't get anywhere
That's
near
shit.
the communists that were in there. And these people, even though they're long dead, but they still affected the political sphere, the educational sphere, the academic sphere. Their ideas reverberate through. You still got kids reading Marx today. You got teachers showing kids Marx and not showing them the Constitution. So
Yeah, it's really sad and stupid.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer for it is other than that
Yeah,
we
the-
have to actually get involved and do stuff because so many of us have not had to be involved. Everything's been running smoothly. It's time to get involved now before it's going to be too late.
Thundercucked. We've been thundercucked as a nation and society. You know, it's they've demoralized. I mean, look at the stuff that they've done. It's just, man, it's really sad.
Well, I warned you guys we were going to have to get political election season coming up. That's what the news is. But this wasn't how I intended it to be. But this is an issue that's hitting home for people who are not political. It's hitting home for people who even like we've discussed before in the cities, the Democrat cities, where they are normally like, oh, we're a sanctuary city, come here and we're going to make sure that your rights are protected. Now they're saying we don't have room anymore. So this is becoming beyond a political issue. So that's one of the reasons I feel like I have to bring it up right now. But especially with we have the proof that the Department of Homeland Security is flying illegally aliens into Tennessee. It looks like they're basically saying, here, you can pick to go to Nashville, Murfreesboro, Franklin. You can pick which one of these you want to go to, and then they take them there.
And here's $10,000 on top of it.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're supporting the economy. Yeah, for a little while. But that's not the, the state of Tennessee, I think, spends $8,000 per student. So if they come in and spend $5,000, $10,000 in the economy, but they have 3 kids, they're already $24,000 that they're spending that is not going to Tennesseans. And, then there's not even to mention, health departments, Social Security, and, they technically don't qualify for Social Security, but they found that they either don't have to pay the medical bills or they or there are programs that they can get for them. Like a lot of times the hospitals, they know they're not going to pay, so they don't put them in collections or anything when illegal immigrants don't pay their bills. So they know they can write it off at the end of the year, and they can write it off when you don't pay too. But they decide to go after collections on you. But anyway, that's just more proof we've been conquered already. But I don't want to beat the dead horse on that. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for tonight. We appreciate you joining us. Be sure and follow on X and on YouTube. Like, share the videos, subscribe to the channel on Rumble. Follow Aaron on X. Follow him on YouTube at Armageddon Hour. Get into. He's been doing bug out bags and emergency preparation videos, first aid kits, stuff like that. He also does wildlife videos of all the different animals he sees down there in the Great Smoky Mountains of Sevierville or Sevier County. And he also gets into some Revelation stuff that you can learn a lot from. So go ahead and check him out sometime. Aaron, have anything you want to leave us with before we get out of here tonight?
Nope. Just see you guys again next Thursday. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as everybody's granny says down here in the South.
Hey, real quick, do you know, I always thought that meant Lord willing and the creek, the river, doesn't rise so that we can, travel across it. It's actually something, I forget who said it now, but it was in a letter he wrote back to his wife, I think, and she was asking when would they be back, and he said, well, 6 weeks, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But he's actually talking about the Creek Indians rising in rebellion because they were, they were basically covering that territory. And so that's what it meant. The Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll be back.
Find a way to turn it into a Rickyism.
Oh yeah. Well, that's pretty much what we've done, I think. Let's see who said that real quick. It was Colonel Benjamin Hawkins, and he was a Continental Congress senator and General Superintendent of Indian Affairs from 1796 to 1818, and when he was summoned to the nation's capital, he reportedly once corresponded, if God's willing and the creek don't rise, then he'll be there. So, all right. Now we learned something. Thank you, Benjamin Hawkins. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on Sunday. We're going to get into some kind of conspiracy. I'm not sure what yet. And we will get into the news and current events back in on Thursday at 10 p.m. We'd love to see you then. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Spill.
Night.